He just wanted to live a normal life, but fate chose Suho to continue the Shadow Monarch's legacy. Chapter 2 begins, where a new hunter awakens and darkness rises again. Sung Suho then reminisces about the past. A long time ago, I had a dream. In the dream, everything was like a game. Sung Suho smiled confidently. Now things are getting interesting, he thought as he stared at the steel gauntlets he had just equipped on his hands. The rank 1 assault gauntlet user used a level 1 E assault gauntlet. He charged into the monsters alone and easily defeated them. At that time, in order to defeat the monsters that kept getting stronger after each floor, a group of monsters in good snake armor appeared. They were as numerous as an army, with no end in sight. I leveled up and fought over and over again. Sung Suho did not hesitate to attack them. He easily defeated them all and received a level-up notification from the system. At that time, he had a cold gaze. The gaze of someone who had experienced many battles. His appearance was confident and full of passion. He said, "I don't need anything. Men should fight with their fists. When monsters become stronger, I also continuously become stronger." The monsters were the final bosses in the gate. He had to fight many similar monsters. All of them relied on his steel-like fists. His eyes lit up, he gritted his teeth, not flinching or giving up. A punch, just like that, pierced through their bodies. And then after going through countless trials, Sung Suho fought alone against many monsters. Not only monsters that moved on the ground, but also monsters with the ability to attack from the sky. He jumped high into the air, aiming straight at a monster that looked like a giant dinosaur. Against such a terrifying monster, he fearlessly punched it. Following that was a series of continuous kicks, and ending the battle with a beautiful kick, the monster was completely defeated. I finally reached the top floor. There was a fierce battle where he had fought. Everything around the battle was almost leveled and shattered into pieces. The last boss I encountered was extremely powerful. That boss had the exact same appearance as a human, the hood covering the expression on its face. Its entire body emitted an aura that made others fear it. It held a long blade and stood in place with a powerful demeanor. Even though he was my enemy, I couldn't help but feel jealous and even respectful of his strength. And somehow the true identity of the last boss was that boss placing his hand on his head and gently stroking it. It asked him in a gentle voice, "Was the game fun?" He was stunned. Only question marks filled his mind. Sung Suho instinctively looked up at it, his face still covered in blood, not knowing if it was his blood or the blood of other monsters. He revealed a puzzled expression and asked the game again. After seeing the boss's face clearly through the cloak, Sung Suho exclaimed in surprise, "Wow! My father." The dream must have reflected the image of my father in my memory. He remembered his back that looked strong and sturdy. My father was a very strong and reliable person. How could he have become so strong? Returning to the present, a fire extinguisher appeared in front of him. He repeated his thoughts, "Father," and then, without hesitation, picked up the fire extinguisher in front of him. Sung Suho held the fire extinguisher and rushed towards the monster. He thought to himself, if it were his father in this unbelievable situation, the monster's ugly and ferocious face would get closer and closer. It opened its hideous mouth wide, wanting to attack. Blue flames came out of its mouth, and its eyes looked a bit terrifying. The fire extinguisher in Sung Suho's hand suddenly appeared right in front of it. He used all his strength to swing his arm up, using the fire extinguisher to hit it hard in the face before it could react. The reddish-brown liquid from the wound on the monster's body after Sung Suho's attack splattered everywhere. His eyes were now filled with determination. He thought to himself, would his father do the same? For a moment, the monster was knocked back by his sudden attack. He looked at it, feeling a bit confused, thinking, what should he do now? I heard that the attack of an unawakened person without mana will not work on magical beasts. I rushed in a bit without thinking. Suddenly, as if realizing something strange, his eyes widened in surprise, looking at the monster that was knocked back, but did not fall to the ground, but instead kept its body still in a strange position. His mind was filled with only question marks. What happened? He turned to look at the woman who had just been attacked by the monster, still shedding tears in panic. The tears stopped in the air, not falling to the ground. His heart became even more confused. He looked back at the monster in front of him. It was still the same, showing no signs of movement. Sung Suho wondered in surprise. Time stopped. A screen suddenly appeared in front of him, making him jump in surprise. On the screen, 2 new notification frames continuously appeared. Notification: you have met the conditions to complete the secret mission, the courage of the weak. Notification: you are now qualified to become a player. Do you accept? Sung Suho looked at the notification box in amazement. This situation suddenly reminded him of the time when he fought the monsters in his dream. That notification box had also appeared. It appeared right in front of him, exactly like the current notification, level up. He was surprised and secretly admired that these things could move, just like in that dream. He thought of the dream where he had enough power to fight those monsters, the power that could make him completely defeat them. If he could fight in that dream, Why wouldn't he accept to become a player in this dire situation? Suho was silent. He lowered his head. The darkness covered the expression on his face. As if he had made up his mind, he resolutely chose to accept. Then a blinding light flashed in the floor where he was standing. The system continuously displayed frames right after that. Notification. Congratulations, you have become a player. Mission reward notification. Mission reward, secret mission. Courage of the week. Blessing of the Great Mage, Candiaru. The Great Mage Candiaru has bestowed upon you a special spell. The blessing of the Great Mage Candiaru ensures that you will always be healthy throughout your life. Quest announcement. Quest reward. Permanent longevity effect. Cure all poisons and status effects, and sleep will boost regeneration. Announcement. This system will help players grow. This is not a dream. You only have one life, so be careful. Finally, the special announcement board. Status window name Pulse, Suho, level 1. Profession 0 spirit, 0 title, 0 blood, 100 magic power, 10 strength, 10 stamina, 10 agility, 10 intelligence, 10 reflexes, 10 points currently, no skills. Passive skills, no. Active skills, ruler's authority level 1. Suho looked at the consecutive notification boards that popped up, his expression slightly excited, thinking that the status window of this game was exactly as he thought. Without letting him think much, 2 consecutive notification boards popped up in front of him. Notification, quest appeared, quest notification, tutorial quest, defeating the Firebone and leveling up increased by 1 level out of 2. At the same time, the flow of time also returned to normal. The monster called the fire skeleton that Suho had pushed back with the fire extinguisher began to move. Suho was startled when he saw this scene. The fire skeletons lowered their heads and began to move. One of them was a rank D, awakened fire skeleton. Suho quickly realized that time had returned to normal. He loudly shouted to the woman behind him, "Run quickly!" The woman's face was pale with fear, but she still tried to regain her composure and replied, "Okay." Suho looked intently at the fire skeletons in front of him. He noticed something strange. Name tags appeared above their heads. The leading fire skeleton had the name tag of a rank D awakened fire skeleton. The 2 fire skeletons behind both had the name tags of unawakened fire skeletons. He thought to himself that his opponents were 2 unawakened humans and a hunter who was undergoing the transformation into a magical beast. The woman quickly turned around and ran away. Suho stood still in place, holding the fire extinguisher, while the 2 fire skeletons that had not yet awakened started to pounce towards him. He thought to himself, if Suho was sweating all over his face. He was both worried and excited. His eyes flashed with a bright light. "I've really awakened." Then Suho didn't hesitate to swing the fire extinguisher up and hit the fire skeleton in front of him. That blow forced the fire skeleton to retreat. The fire extinguisher was also dented by its body and flew out of his hand. At this moment, the fire skeleton crouched down to defend and then spread its hand out, wanting to rush forward to attack. Suho didn't want to be outdone. He clenched his hand into a fist, aimed straight at the fire skeleton, and shouted, "Sorry." With just one punch, the fire skeleton that had just attacked, he was sent flying straight to the ceiling and stuck its head firmly on it. Suho stopped. His eyes widened in surprise. The system jumped out to the display screen again, announcing that you had defeated the unawakened Firebone. Suho looked at his fist, his heart somewhat in disbelief. 1 hit and it was done? At the same time, the remaining unawakened Firebone also rushed towards him. Suho quickly turned around and lifted his leg. He easily avoided the Firebone's attack and then kicked it right in the stomach. The Firebone was hit and its internal organs seemed to be shattered. It opened its mouth wide and spat out blood, and a reddish-brown liquid flowed out of its eyes. At the same time, the system displayed a notification panel. You have defeated the unawakened Firebone. Then a series of notifications appeared. Notification? Level up, notification that the tutorial mission has been completed. Notification of the mission. The tutorial mission to defeat the Firebone and level up has increased by 2/2 levels. Suho turned around. Behind him was still a rank D awakened fire skeleton. The system continued to pop up 2 display frames. Notification, you have received the mission completion reward. Notification, check the reward. Below are 2 boxes to choose to accept or decline. Suho didn't make a choice right away. He was a little distracted, thinking, now I'm sure Suho didn't hesitate to attack the rank D awakened Firebone in front of me. The sound of the 2 colliding rang out. He thought to himself that he had really awakened. Suho's fist mutated the face of the rank D awakened Firebone. Red blood flowed from the corner of its mouth, but it didn't immediately fall down. Suho was surprised. It could withstand that blow? Before he could think much, the Firebone in front of him raised its arm to counterattack. Suho could only lean to the side to avoid it. The rank D awakened Firebone didn't give Suho a chance to catch his breath. It raised its arm into a claw and scratched right at his chest. Hot blood kept pouring out from the wound. He gritted his teeth in pain and groaned, then leaned back with difficulty to avoid the attack. Sung Suho stomped his feet to gain momentum, his strength causing the floor under his feet to shatter. He used all his strength to push himself back, keeping his distance from the fire skeleton in front of him. Sung Suho lowered his head to look at the scratch on his chest. Blood soaked his shirt. He was a little panicked and unwilling. Sweat dripped onto the ground. Damn it, if it scratches me, I'll turn into a magical beast. I just woke up and I'm about to turn into a magical beast? But right after that, a miracle happened. The system continuously popped up 2 display frames announcing that a harmful effect had been detected in your soul. The notification that the effect of longevity had dispelled that status effect. At the same time, the wound on Sung Suho's body flashed a faint light and gradually healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. Sung Suho's eyes widened in surprise. He stood there stunned, not daring to believe his eyes. Longevity, now that I think about it, I remember seeing that effect in the status window at first. Before he could think further, the fire skeleton had already pounced in front of him. It pounced on Sung Suho like a beast and pinned him to the ground. Its attack was so strong that the ground beneath him broke into pieces. Sung Suho used both hands to barely block the Firebone's attack. He broke out in a cold sweat and struggled a bit, thinking to himself, if I'm weaker than a rank D who has become a magical beast, then that means I'm rank E. I've only just awakened and I'm already worried about my rank. At the moment when the oil was boiling, the Firebone pressing on Sung Suho opened its mouth full of saliva, looking very hideous, wanting to bite him. He gritted his teeth and tried to resist. There must be something. Sung Suho remembered something. His eyes lit up. Ah, Suho chose to accept the reward, and then a notification popped up on the screen. Mission reward notification? You will receive the following rewards. Reward 1, attribute points +5. Reward 2, attribute points +3, strength 11 to 14. Suho's strength increased. He roared loudly and used his strength to push away the Firebone that was close to his body. Following that, with a beautiful kick, Sung Suho had completely kicked the fire skeleton up high and away. The fire skeleton flipped in the air, it fell to one knee and landed safely. Sung Suho didn't give it a chance to react. He used lightning speed to punch it right in the face. The fire skeleton was unharmed. It raised its hand and turned it into a claw, preparing to counterattack him. Immediately after, a series of attacks aimed at Sung Suho's body occurred. He barely dodged, but was still scratched by it. Many wounds appeared on his body, causing blood to flow continuously. He was attacked by it and struggled, only barely able to defend against the attacks. Another attack occurred. He bent down to avoid it, but then he realized that even with his increased strength points, he still couldn't defeat this thing. He quickly made a decision. Then he would put all his bonus points and strength. The system displayed information. Strength 14 it to 19. Sung Suho clenched his fists. He felt the strength in his body increasing. An awakened person could level up. I've never heard of that before. He didn't think much of it and punched the fire skeleton right in the face. Hot blood splattered everywhere, because the level was decided upon awakening, and no awakened person had ever become stronger than the level of someone above him. Sung Suho ducked low to avoid the fire skeleton's attack, and threw 2 more punches at its stomach. His fists were so strong that the armor on its body broke apart, and I don't know who decided the level of awakened people. Sung Suho clenched his fists. His eyes flashed with light. He swung his fist, preparing to deliver the final blow. But if he had the strength to break out of that damn hierarchy, the wall-mounted TV in the next room suddenly fell to the ground. The sound of falling and falling was loud, and dust started to rise. The wall that had previously been installed with the television started to crack. The sound of water breaking rang out, and then the wall seemed to have suffered a strong shock and completely cracked. The entire body of the D-rank awakened fire skeleton kicked the wall, creating a giant pink hole. Sung Suho still maintained the same posture as he had just punched, and the rocks and soil from the wall continued to collapse below. He gritted his teeth. His entire face was covered in darkness, but at this moment, his eyes looked especially bright. Sung Suho passed through the rubble and rushed forward to give the fire skeleton another punch right in the face. The rank D awakened fire skeleton that he had punched through the broken wall along with the television, and the rocks and soil flew straight behind him. Sung Ho clenched his fist that was still covered in blood, not knowing if it was the fire skeleton's or his. He stood still in the same place, panting tiredly. The fire skeleton that had been defeated lay completely motionless on the ground. The armor on its body was beaten to the point of being almost completely destroyed. The status window appeared and renewed. Notification: you have defeated the awakened skeleton rank D. Notification: level up. Notification: level up. Announcement: level up. Sung Suho almost exhaustedly propped himself up on his knees, sitting on the floor. He was a little in disbelief, muttering, "I won." Sung Suho looked at his hands that were still covered in blood. He was panting. Sweat was pouring down his face like a stream. A few drops were still dripping down. Sung Suho clenched his hands. He was happy and full of hope. So I am also an awakened person. At this moment, Sung Suho heard someone nearby shouting. Ah, he was startled and stopped. Immediately after, he was a little excited. Turned around. I can do it. Considering that I am now awakened, I can save those people and resolve this crisis. Thinking of this, he immediately stood up, stomped his feet hard on the ground to fight. Next, he did not hesitate to rush into the pile of fiery bones in front of him. A loud explosion rang out, rocks and dirt flew everywhere. He easily sent 2 fiery bones flying in both directions. Sung Suho leaned against the window frame, looking down and thinking to himself, the situation outside is really bad. Suddenly he was startled, his eyes widened, sweat running down his cheeks. Sung Suho was stunned. Humph. In front of him was a fire skeleton holding a sword in both hands, jumping up and wanting to attack him. Its body was muscular and looked extremely strong. Above its head appeared the name of a rank C awakened fire skeleton. It raised the huge sword behind its back, preparing to slash down. Immediately after that, a huge explosion occurred in the building. Black smoke and dust kept rising. The sky that day was especially gloomy, but it was a sign of an ominous omen.
There's more, but save it for the next chapter. If you like it, don't hesitate to like, subscribe, comment. It's the energy that keeps the channel alive. Want to know what Suho will do next? Hit the bell. Next chapter will be bloody. See you there.